Founder Harvey Levin has a new documentary on Tubi. It's called Under Fire, the Trump assassination attempt. Now, the interesting thing about it is that not only does it take you to the crime scene, but there are first-hand eyewitness accounts. Take a look.
This was the most traumatic experience of my life, and I would not wish this experience upon any other person.
It felt like, guys, 30 minutes when we were pointing at this guy on the roof, even though it was only, 2 minutes or whatever. And I'm just thinking, any minute now, any second now, I'm going to start hearing shots. And then we heard the shots.
You're administering CPR. At what point do you realize it's futile?
Harvey joins us now. Smart to do this, Harvey. Very high interest. A lot of questions out there. What do you hope people take from it?
Well, what I hope is that the Secret Service, when the light is shined on them, which is obviously being done, is they make some pretty radical reforms, Chris, because this could not have gone worse. There was a lot of luck involved that more people weren't killed, but this was so botched from beginning to end. You heard this one guy with the beard talking about it felt like 30 minutes that they were trying to let people know this guy was up on the roof. It was actually 2 minutes when they saw him getting up on the roof, and they were pointing at him. They were talking to police. They were saying, there's a guy on the roof that doesn't belong. And a couple of police officers were looking for him. But to me, the key is that 30 seconds before the shooting, they were screaming, that guy, along with 75 people in his group, they were friends and family, were screaming, that guy up there has a gun. They were screaming, they were fleeing, they were panicked. And if you have sharpshooters right behind Trump that can look 147 yards, how could they miss the pandemonium? How could they not see the guy on the roof? Forget about shooting him. Why didn't somebody scream, get Trump down on the ground, or something like that? But nobody did anything. And this guy is saying it was like in slow motion. They're screaming, they're pointing at the Secret Service, pointing at the building, and nothing. And so this was just so botched that, we talked to 4 former Secret Service agents, and boy, they gave us an earful.
Did you come away from it thinking that there are people who wanted this to happen, or do you believe that this is about people not doing what they were supposed to do to keep it from happening?
Yeah, I heard the last segment. We didn't go there, and honestly, we weren't trying to figure that out. I know there are theories about this. We were just looking at what actually happened that day and how the Secret Service, Chris, was configured. Because there's something I find really interesting here, that we talked to one former agent, and this is going to sound bad on the surface, but I think there's an interesting point here. He was talking about the number of women who were protecting Trump that day. And he was saying that they were 5 feet, 5 inches, 5 feet, 6 inches. How could they protect somebody 6'3"? Now, you could say that about men who are 5'6", 5'7", so it shouldn't matter whether it's a man or a woman. They shouldn't have anybody up there that short. But the point he was making is that they deliberately, he believes that the agency deliberately put half the people up there who were women for optics. So it wasn't so much that they were looking at who was tall enough, because if you look at Trump, he is exposed from the chest up when he stands back up. And if there was a second shooter, they could have fired a shot off and gotten him. So his point is that optics prevailed over protection, and that it's not about women not being capable, because they are. It's about the Secret Service brass putting women in there where there's a 6'3" protectee for optics. And I think it's an interesting point.
It is. I don't know that it's right, but it is certainly something to consider. And that is the beautiful gift of giving people information and perspective so that they can use it as food for thought. Harvey Levin, you're smart to do it. and I'm glad that you did, and I hope it does well on Tubi. Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.